When you think of the world's major coffee producers, Brazil, Colombia, and Kenya usually spring to mind. But more recently, Vietnam has joined the big three and has even overtaken Colombia as the world's second largest coffee exporter. Critics, however, say Vietnam's amazing productivity has caused world prices for beans to plummet. And as I recently found out, Vietnam's coffee industry has also cultivated other problems at home. Coffee culture. In Vietnam, it's steeped in tradition, dating back to the early 20th century when the French colonized the country. One of the oldest coffee shops in Hanoi is Mai's, run by the family of Pham Doyan.
My family has been running this business since 1936. My grandfather started it. We serve and sell very traditional coffees and also popular coffee beans for Western drinks like espressos and mochas. We have come a long way. Young and old Vietnamese people still like drinking coffee the traditional way, even though it is becoming more commercialized and trendy.
An is not the only Vietnamese coffee owner to capitalize on the country's emerging and affluent middle class. The cafe business has been so good that one entrepreneur started a franchise of his shops across Vietnam. The government's tourism body believes cafes like Truong Nguyen are becoming attractions for locals and visitors.
We are trying to develop our country and its infrastructure while preserving our culture and traditions. Truong Nguyen and other brands are 100% Vietnamese coffee. It's booming, and now it's being exported to the West, like the United States. The coffee industry is an excellent example of Vietnam's development.
In the 1990s, world coffee prices reached an all-time high. To profit from the global trend, the government encouraged farmers to switch to coffee planting to boost its exports. Tran Ly Truc Ly used to cultivate jackfruit. Now you can only find coffee plants on her farm.
When we first arrived in this region, it was very barren. A group of us started planting coffee on these hills. We have been running this coffee plantation for about 10 years now. We sell a crop to a private company. We make about 80 US cents for every kilo we sell.
With the help of farmers like Tran Ly Truc Ly, Vietnam has increased its coffee exports fivefold.
Companies like ours have to make sure we buy quality beans from farmers so we can compete locally and for Vietnam globally.
It's easy to see how Vietnam has become one of the most prolific coffee producers in the world. It's been appropriating and cultivating land for coffee production at a breakneck speed. Consider this. In 1975, there were 20,000 hectares of land being used for coffee production. Today, it's mushroomed to more than 500,000. But rather than perk up the global coffee market, Vietnam's massive output sent prices into a tailspin, crashing nearly fourfold. Critics say Vietnam's massive exports of mainly cheap and low-quality Robusta beans used for blends and instant coffee sparked the current coffee crisis. Last year, the Central Highlands region alone produced 500,000 tons of coffee beans, representing more than 5% of the world's total supply.
For the last couple of years, coffee prices have been coming down. That's been affecting the cultivation of coffee.
Vietnam has promised to produce less to soften the international wrath over its role in the global glut. But the thirst to make a profit from coffee has created other repercussions within Vietnam. In Gia Lai and Dat Lak provinces, where the coffee boom exploded, huge tracts of land were appropriated to accommodate the rush to cultivate coffee plants. But that's created conflict with indigenous hill tribes in the region, like the Montagnards. Last year, they held mass demonstrations against what they called the government's expropriation of their land. The Montagnards alleged their farms had been seized to make way for coffee plantations. In February, nearly 1,000 Montagnards fled the highlands for neighboring Cambodia. Most have now been given asylum by the United States. More land is being appropriated for coffee plantations. Is that also a threat to the future of ethnic minorities?
I'm afraid so. This will have a lot of impact on the ethnic minorities. Of course, I think we believe that the government should take a very cautious view and very much with long-term planning for the development of coffee and other cash crops, so that they will not have too much of diverse impacts on the biodiversity resources on the one hand, on the other hand the ethnic culture and the ethnic minority people on the other hand. It's really a major challenge.
Vietnam's need for economic development may ultimately outweigh the desire to preserve its ethnic cultures, but at what price? The country is watching how much coffee its farmers can produce and how much profit can be made. The world's coffee producers are hoping prices will stabilize. But regardless of the ups and downs of the global market, those who have been uprooted to make way for coffee plantations will always see any harvest as a bitter one.